We are standing right now on the Maidan Square in the downtown of Kiev, and 3 years ago there was a revolution of dignity, and on the 3 key days of the revolution in late February there was a front line between governmental forces and protesters, and on the 3 days, on 18th February, 19th February and 20th February, there were the bloodiest days when over 100 people died, and protesters were indignated, struggling against the authoritarianism and wanting free Ukraine, the European Ukraine. Therefore, there were so many European flags, and therefore the European idea was so symbolic for Ukrainians at that time. So we're still on the Maidan 3 years after the revolution, and now you see this is very peaceful place. People are smiling, people are walking around, people are playing music. You see beautiful fountains behind me. Kiev is a very European city right now, very open to foreigners, very open to guests of Kiev. People are really striving for European sense of life, for European style of life. Therefore, the visa-free regime with Europe is so symbolic for Ukrainians, so important. And on the 11th of June, Ukrainians, for the first time in their history, will be able to travel to Schengen states, to European Union without visas. This is kind of an opening of Europe to Ukrainians, opening of Ukraine to Europe. This is why this is so important, so symbolic. So visa-free regime is not something that was given for granted, because the European Union made a huge number of conditions, very important conditions. Ukraine was implementing reforms for some 6 years, and these reforms primarily include fight against corruption. The key anti-corruption bodies have been established. They're now starting their work. They're not as effective as we would like to be, but at least the huge anti-corruption process have started. Furthermore, Ukrainians are now having biometric passports, and they better control migration, and they have better laws in anti-discrimination. So these are very important things which made visa-free regime a kind of a stimulus for Ukrainian reforms, which is why it is also important for us, for this country. And I think it is very important to understand that visa-free regime also contains some limitations. For example, Ukrainians will not be able to travel infinitely in the European Union. Visa-free regime only restricts their stay to 90 days per half a year. Also, visa-free regime doesn't give an automatic right to work, which is also important, so Ukrainians will be traveling back and forth. All these limitations are important to understand, but also it is important to have a background, because Ukrainians is not a nation which supplies the majority of illegal migrants to the EU, and Ukrainians are not top nation having organized crime risk to the EU, according, for example, to different data from Germany or Italy or other countries. So rather it is important to consider this liberalization as a people-to-people contacts, which will be giving Ukrainians an opportunity to travel more to Europe and to bring European practices back into Ukraine. This was Volodymyr Yermolenko, journalist at Hromadske International Ukrainian Independent Media.